Please support the bar by subscribe, and sharing my cast. Follow my social media at Facebook, Instagram, Gab, Parlor, BitChute, YouTube, DLive, Twitch, CLOUTHUB, and Rumble, or join my Subscribe Star. Make a donation by clicking on the links on the description box. I am a listener-supported show, so any of the above is greatly appreciated. Help me grow and spread the truth, since the mainstream media obviously does not want to support truth. All links are listed on the description box. God bless you and enjoy.
Welcome to the Speak Uneasy, a safe space where cancel culture does not exist, because we are in a different prohibition era.
Hello and welcome to the Speak Uneasy for the night. I am your bartender as usual. Tonight we have a special guest with me that I will be interviewing. He will go ahead and pick out what the random read of the night is. So, mystery guest, go ahead and give us our random read for the night.
Our random read is from Psalms chapter 38, 12 to 22. Meanwhile, my enemies lay traps to kill me. Those who wish me harm make plans to ruin me. All day long they plan their treachery, but I am deaf to all their threats. I am silent before them as one who cannot speak. I choose to hear nothing, and I make no reply, for I am waiting for you, O Lord. You must answer me, O Lord my God. I prayed, don't let my enemies gloat over me or rejoice at my downfall. I am on the verge of collapse, facing constant pain. But I confess my sins. I am deeply sorry for what I have done. I have many aggressive enemies. They hate me with reason. They repay me evil for good and oppose me for pursuing good. Do not abandon me, O Lord. Do not stand a distance, my God. Come quickly to help me, O Lord, my Savior. I take that verse and it makes me think about the struggles that I'm going through right now and the injuries that I face. And when I think about these verses, I feel like my injury is trying to stop me from progressing. And I need to keep in mind that the Lord is by my side and will help me get through this if I keep my faith up and alive. And the evil is relentless, constantly trying to take me down. But believing in God and following that path keeps me strong and keeps me afloat. And that's what I'm getting out of this chapter.
Sounds good. I actually understand what you're saying, because being somebody who, although my situation is in a different boat, although I like to seek for the truth, I feel that seeking for the truth and speaking the truth sometimes can get you in a place where you're alone. And while people talk about you, they ridicule you, call you all sorts of names. But as long as your faith in God is strong, and as long as you stick to what you believe in, God will always be there and help you prevail. So that was a very, very good pick, my friend. That was very good. Um, Again, that was from, what was it? Psalms chapter 38, verse 12 to 22.
That's correct.
And
that is the New Living Translation.
Okay. So that's our random read for the night. And as always, I hope you guys apply that to what's going on with you or what kind of message God is trying to convey with you. So now for tonight's drink, and I know everybody's been waiting for this one. Tonight, it's a simple night. We're having, my guest and I, we're having some Garrison Brothers small batch Texas straight bourbon whiskey. We're having it neat. A little history on the drink, or a little info on the drink. As I went to Garrison Brothers' own website, it's 94 proof, and it reads, enjoying a bottle of small batch is an experience unlike any other. It's everything rich and good about bourbon, without the bite, which is very true, because just taking a drink out of, what did you think taking a little drink out of this?
Well, I'm not a big whiskey drinker, and having the first drink out of this batch here was pretty satisfying, I have to admit.
Was it smooth?
It was smooth. Yeah. I've had some other whiskeys where it just gave me the bite, and instantly I had want nothing to do with it.
Well, I'm glad that we served up some Garrison Brother Texas bourbon. But anyways, let me go ahead and finish this reading. Our bourbon is amber crimson like a Texas sunset, which I can attest is very true, but it also rains a lot in Texas too. Darker, richer, and fuller than almost any other bourbon on the market. We don't source whiskey from elsewhere, and we will never. Our bourbon is made from corn to cork in High, Texas, one barrel at a time. It's handcrafted from a sweet mash of premium #1 food grade corn, soft red winter wheat from local farms, and 2-row barley. And you know, I can attest to this because I've been to the distillery and it's beautiful out there. It's a small distillery, but it's very, very beautiful. So here's to Garrison Brothers small batch Texas straight whiskey. Cheers.
Cheers.
And here we are with the show. Now, tonight is a very special night. I have with me a friend of mine who I've known for quite some time. His name is Dennis, and as I interview this individual, you will understand why this interview was important for me to put out there. So, without, I'm going to introduce Dennis.
How's it going?
Oh man, you know, we've talked, man. You know what's going.
Yeah, I do, and it's been a long time since we've talked, and I'm actually really glad that we did. And
Same
I'm
here,
glad
brother.
that we've connected. So
Same here, brother.
here we are.
Long overdue. Long overdue.
Yes, I agree.
So, why don't we tell a little story on how we actually met?
Interesting. Okay. Well, this happened back in early 90s. I want to say 91 and 92.
Yeah.
Back in high school days.
Yep.
And as a matter of fact, you were involved in music.
I was.
And you had some equipment at your house that I wanted to get my fingers on, and you introduced me to him. And after that, I decided to pursue a passion in DJing.
Wow. You know what's funny? I still remember that day you came into my house, and I was telling you, dude, you gotta match the bass with the bass and the treble with the treble. And I was just watching you trying to beat match, and it was quite entertaining because, you know, I was kind of getting frustrated by, dude, this guy's not listening to me.
Yeah, but you know, at the end of it all, I finally got it together, and as soon as I got that together, it was magical.
Well, I'm glad I contributed to that.
It took off after that, and I can honestly say that from that point on, I had a passion and a drive that continued, and I was fortunate enough to be able to capitalize on it, and within my city, I've been able to play in all the major bars and a few of the
Wow.
nightclubs out here. So, I had a good little run on it.
That's
But
that's absolutely great, man.
yeah,
I never thought that that would actually happen for you, man. But I'm glad it has.
yeah, no, I am actually really happy it has, because that's a great outlet for me. And for anyone out there trying to pursue that path, I couldn't speak any more about it, because it's great.
I bet. Oh, I mean, I know it is because when I was younger myself, I used to DJ as well for parties. And I remember at one point too, when I was 18, I did DJ for a club, but that was a very, very short stint. But yeah, it's a very fun thing to do.
Yeah, I get a satisfaction out of making people dance and knowing that they're having fun with the
Yeah.
content that I'm putting out there.
And you know what I thought was interesting too about DJing was the equipment now makes it so much easier. But back then, when we had to use vinyls, the thing that was fun for me was trying to figure out what the next song to play was because you were always on a time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you only had a few minutes to think about the next track and to put it on. And now you have everything at your fingertips. You're no longer digging through crates. You have hard drives holding all your MP3 files, and you've got controllers that manipulate vinyl like truly press records. And the ease of it and the technology has advanced so quickly, and
Yep.
it's made it easy. Not to mention, though, when you start to get an age, those turntables and those crates of record become pretty taxing on that back.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I can attest to that. I used to drag around equipment when I was younger, and well, on top of the equipment, you have to bring the speakers, you got to bring the
Yeah,
lights,
yeah,
fog machine, whatever it is you had, and yeah, I can definitely attest to that.
yeah, yeah. You definitely start to grow a lot more gray hairs when you're dragging around all that stuff and tearing it down and building it back up all over again, night after night.
Well, quite honestly, dude, the gray hairs come anyway as you get older.
Right.
So, yeah, tell us a little bit of history about, like, your childhood. Like, tell us how you grew up.
Wow. My childhood was pretty bizarre. I can tell you that. Well, I was born in California, small city of San Luis Obispo. Um, did a few years here. Had my grandparents come and visit me one year. Fell in love with seeing my grandparents. Next thing I know, I was being shipped out to a little island in the Pacific, and spent the rest of my adolescent lives with my grandparents away from my siblings and my parents in the States.
I mean, there was no reason to that, or
I the only reason I got from my mom when I asked her one day was, your grandparents were alone and they needed some company.
that is quite bizarre. That's something like not normal for kids to experience.
Yeah,
But
yeah. And the whole time I was there, I had really next to no contact with my mom or my siblings. So,
that must have been difficult,
well, at a very young age, you don't really think about that,
right?
until you start to grow and you start asking yourself, hey, you know what? Where is mom?
Right,
Where is dad? Where is brother? Where is sister?
right. No, you're absolutely right. You just care about playing.
Right. Yeah. And I played my heart out, and there was times I was out there in late hours, and, grandma was looking for me, and I already knew that I was going to get the belt because I was way past her curfew,
Mm.
but I wasn't done playing yet, and I figured, hey, you know what? I'm out there. I'm in trouble anyways. I'm going to capitalize on it right now.
So you had a mind thought like that already while you were young, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I started to get older, and you tend to rebel.
Yep, absolutely. You know what? My story is not as extreme as yours because I quasi had a mom present, but I can definitely relate to what you're saying. I can definitely relate to it.
Hmm.
So, as you grow, like when you get to high school and all, or even through middle school, what, tell me about what happens there.
Well, middle school was quite interesting. I was involved with, lots of sports, that kept me pretty busy. Academically, I wasn't very sharp, but what I had was the athleticism, and I used that, and that kind of translated over to high school as well too. I found myself playing a lot of volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to be the best skateboarder in town.
Mm-hmm.
I got into bikes, freestyle, um, mopeds,
Okay,
and
so
motorcycles.
when you say freestyle bike,
Yeah.
now you got to explain to some people because they might be young, they might be too young to know what the hell you're talking about. I mean, what do you mean freestyle bike? What is that?
Oh man, it's one of those Huffies or a mongoose bike with some star rims and some pegs up in the front, and you got a gyro on the neck of your handlebar, so that way you can spin your handlebars 360 around.
Yep.
And you're able to actually pop one leg on a wheelie on one of the pegs, and do some 360s and who knows what.
When you describe that stuff, it reminds you of that movie Rad, which I watched it when I was way young.
Mm-hmm. Who hasn't watched that?
Well, some of these kids have not, but those who are the same age as us have probably watched that movie before, and they can appreciate what you're saying.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then skateboarding, that was another thing too that I took seriously, and I wanted to be a Tony Hawk. I wanted to be a Christian Hosoi.
I think everybody did at that point.
Yeah,
especially after watching Thrashing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely. And that's just kind of where it is. And then volleyball came in the picture, and I wanted to play volleyball. I wanted to be Randy Stoklos. I wanted to be St. John Smith. I wanted to be Steve Timmons.
Yep, the legends of volleyball, and I remember because we used to play volleyball together all the time.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Fun times, man. Fun times. I actually miss playing volleyball, and I probably couldn't play volleyball now at the shape that I'm in.
Yeah, no, I only wish that I could play again.
Yeah. So go ahead, keep going, and tell us what happened. Like after you had volleyball, I remember you telling me off the air that you were into YSRs, motorcycles.
Oh yeah, YSRs and mopeds and motorcycles. I had a cousin that had he used to run a paper route, and so the paper route required some type of transportation. So why not get a moped? So he got a moped, a Suzuki YZ150, or I'm not sure.
Did you modify that thing to go faster too?
You know what? Everyone tinkered on their little Suzuki. There was a
I
guy in the
remember
neighborhood that was such a tech, and he knew how to get every bit of power out of that motor, you know what I mean, by boring the heads or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And anyways, my cousin had a paper route, so he had to deliver papers early in the morning. He needed a moped to transport his papers and deliver it, in a timely manner. And then along with that, came the YSR, which was a little like 50cc motorcycle.
Right.
And that was a hot thing.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, and I was, 15 years old.
People were thinking that they were like Rough Riders, dude. Like
crotch rockets.
Yeah.
And then when you're 15 and you're going, 40 miles an hour, that feels like you're doing 90.
Right.
And you were the fastest thing out there.
I mean, I've never ridden it, but people talk like it exactly how you're describing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. It was red, and it was red and white. I can still see it. It was sitting in my grandma's living room, and I'd watch it and see it all the time, and I would sit in it and pretend I was actually driving it on the road,
Yeah.
And, lo and behold, I actually took it out one day and decided to go out there and give it a run.
Okay, so are we talking about a turning point here in something that happened?
This is very much a turning point.
Okay, go ahead and continue.
So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go out there and ride it around and, take it for a joyride like any adolescent would want to do. And at this point I was already rebelling, against my grandparents, and I didn't want to get the spanking anymore, and I was always in trouble, and I never wanted to listen to anybody.
Well, what's unfortunate about that is that I've hung out with you back then. You weren't one of those type of dudes that hung out with gang members or did drugs or did any sorts of that kind of stuff.
You know, my grandparents and my aunt and my uncle always talked about, like, you know, drugs are bad for you, and they kind of gave me some of that tongue lashings about you're always on, you're probably high, you're probably smoking marijuana and all this stuff, and you know that was more than enough to kind of deter me.
Right, right. No,
You
I
know,
totally get it because you're being accused of something that's not true, and you're like, dude, I'm sick of this, dude. I'm sick of hearing you tell me this when I'm not. And even if
yeah,
I was, even if I was telling you the truth, you're still not believing me, and I'm getting tired of all this
yeah.
stuff.
So you know, I use it, and I use that energy, and I focused it more on, you know, athletics. You
Right.
know, I really try to be the best volleyball player I can be.
Oh, trust me, I
You know,
believe I believe every word you because I was there every step of the way.
hmm
Every time we play volleyball in front of one of your cousin's house,
oh yeah,
I remember, dude, we used to go play volleyball. Remember when we
oh
go to
yeah,
those old racquetball
oh
places
yeah,
and played volleyball? That was totally fun, man.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't understand why your grandparents would accuse you of such stuff when you were totally opposite.
You know, paranoia, I guess. You know, they were looking out for me. You know, they didn't want me doing all that.
Well,
You know,
they believed that they were looking out for you
yeah. I
in
mean,
their mind.
I think every parent has, you know, that assumption that their kid's doing wrong.
Um, yes and no. And the only reason why I say that is because I am a parent and I don't make accusations unless I know for sure.
You know, and I didn't really talk much with my grandparents. You know, I never really shared what was going on my day to day. So maybe that was probably one of the reasons why they
Yeah.
felt like they, you
Good
know,
point. Good point.
you know
That's
that
a good point.
that I was doing something wrong.
Right.
You know,
Was there a good communication line between your grandparents and yourself?
no, I can't say there was.
Mm.
You know, it was I was always taught to listen, listen.
But
Never talk back to the elders, right?
yeah, I get that. But was there any like casual conversation times where it's just open for any casual discussions?
You know, we've never really had that with my
Mm.
grandparents. You know, there was always some chores to be done around the house.
Right.
You know, and one point or another, I felt like I was a Cinderella.
No, I can understand that, and
You know,
I can totally understand that.
but you know, there's a silver lining to all that, though.
Hmm.
You know, that taught me hard work.
Right.
You know,
Something that a lot of people are lacking nowadays, huh?
telling you.
Yeah.
You know, at the time when I was scrubbing the floors and cleaning the cars and all this stuff, you know, at 15 years old, where a kid only wants to be a kid,
Right.
here I am, you know, slaving away, you know, and that's what it felt like. But
Hmm.
here I am now in my 40s, and I'm like, thank you, Grandma. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank
Yeah.
you, Auntie. Thank you, Uncle.
See, what people don't understand yet is we're building up to all this. So, you know, it. The reason why we're doing it this way is that we're building up to it. So, just stick around for a little bit more, and you'll find out why that this is important to tell the history.
Mm-hmm.
So, continue on. Okay, so
So here I am.
with the YSR, right?
Yep, I'm admiring this motorcycle, and I decide, you know what? Hey, screw it. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to go for a ride because I really want to ride this thing. You know, and little did they know that I was already taking it out from time to time here and there without them knowing, because they were out either shopping or at their little store that they had built up. And I decided to take it out one day for a joyride. And as I was out there cruising around, it happened to be the day where I ran into the authorities.
Hmm. Hmm. Of course, it's going to happen that way. It always does.
Yeah. And as we crossed path, I watched him right in my rearview mirror, and he turns around. And at that point, I already knew, okay, you know what? This is serious.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if I pull over right now and this gets wind to my grandparents, I'm getting a beating.
So let me ask you this. Were you more afraid of your grandparents or were you more afraid of the cop?
It's so funny because as soon as I saw that cop, I played it out in my head. Okay, I'm going to pull over. It's going to get impounded. My ass is going to get sent over to my grandparents, and I'm going to get my ass chewed.
Uh-huh. So who are you more afraid of, your grandparents or the cop?
My grandparents.
Oh. Yep.
That was the funny thing.
That's what I thought, man.
That was a funny thing. So you know what? I said, you know what? I just might have a chance.
Oh, man.
Here we go.
You're digging that grave even deeper, man.
Yep. And as soon as you run, that's it. It's too late.
Yeah.
and then the adrenaline starts rushing, and now you're full blown. And I'm dodging cars. I'm going in between traffic. You know what I mean? I'm gaining a little bit of space between me and the motorcycle cop. And I come into an intersection, and I think to myself, I either try to run that or I lose my life. Hey,
I think that was it. Yeah, I think that was an easy decision at that point, huh?
Mm-hmm. And at that point, I had to suck it up and be like, okay, I'm caught. I'm defeated. I just made it worse.
Yeah, you sure did, dude. You sure did.
That hole was about 6 feet, and I just dug it another 6 after that.
No, I know you did, man.
Yep. And they took me and they handcuffed me, and it was so funny because when they handcuffed me, they were asking me if I was on some type of drug and stuff like that.
Gosh, here we go again.
And keep in mind, I'm 15 years old.
Yeah.
When this all happened, they're checking my arms, seeing if I got tracks. You know what I mean, and this and that.
Yeah.
And they throw me into the city jail, and they impound the motorcycle, and I'm in jail, and I'm waiting, and next thing I know, my grandparents are showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandparents are bawling. My grandma's, crying her eyes out.
Let me guess, dude. You embarrassed the family name.
Exactly.
Of course. Typical Asian family, man.
Exactly.
And I know because I'm Asian.
Yeah. This is how you want to treat your grandparents after what they've done to you. This is how you want to treat your aunt and uncle for what they've done to you so far yet. And, I felt ashamed for doing that.
Right. So what happens when they see you in jail? What happens after that?
Well, of course they, tell me that you're going to kill me, and I'm going to die because of what you're doing, and I'm doing wrong, and I'm not doing right in their eyes, and the family name and all that stuff. And next thing I know, the family's getting together, and they're making a community meeting about me returning back to the States with my mom.
Now, within the time when you first left California to that time, did you even have any relationship with your mom, or did you speak to her, or?
I've had some memory, my mom and my brothers, and I remember the day that my grandparents came, and I remember the day that I left, and I never came back. And when I've been gone the whole time, I've never really had much communication with my mom.
Not even on holidays or birthdays?
I had one card come through. I remember one.
And how long was the duration of you being separated?
I couldn't even tell you.
Wow, that long, huh?
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you.
Wow.
So, I had to endure that. But then again, I didn't think nothing of it because I'm young.
No, yeah, I totally get that.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just living life.
You have to be wondering though about your mom.
Oh, I did.
Because with children, even though children still want to play, they still have some kind of attachment to their mother.
And I think that was one of the reasons why I felt like I was rebelling. Okay, well, you're not my mom.
No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That does.
You're not my mom. Who are you to tell me? Where is my mom?
Right.
Where is my dad? But I had no control over what was going to happen, or how I was going to get there, or how I was going to find them, because I had no idea where they were at.
Right. So your family has, after you get out of jail, your family has this plan to send you back. So what happens?
So in a matter of weeks, they pretty much bought a ticket and packed my stuff up and said, here you go. Checked me out of school. I really didn't have time to tell my friends I was leaving, and that was it. I was on a plane.
Yeah, and you're right, because it was weird, because one day I hung out with you, and then the next it was like, well, what happened to him? Where'd he go? Then sophomore year came, and junior year came, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's gone.
You know what? There was a few people that actually showed up at the airport.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You mean people that we were in school with? Our classmates?
Yeah. Wait, I think there was a few, but I remember vaguely that there were some people there, and I'd rather not say any names, watching me off, and that was it.
Wow. Yeah, I think you gave me a phone call one day I wasn't sure if it was still my freshman year, the summer of my freshman year going to my sophomore year, but I vaguely remember you giving me a phone call, and that was kind of like I was like, well, okay, so where you at, bro?
Yeah.
And I don't remember the conversation, but I do remember you giving me a call.
You know, right before I left the island, I had a little black book with everyone's phone number in it, you know, and I
Uh-huh.
held that close to me because these were my friends I was leaving.
Right.
And I think that's where I remember I had your phone number, you know,
Yeah.
and I wish I still had that black book somewhere, man.
You know what? That's pre-cell phone days.
Right.
Yeah, we had to write it down.
Right, right. And
Or remember it.
I had to dial like 011 to make a phone call or something like that, long
Yeah.
distance,
Yep.
you know. And I don't know.
It probably costed a lot of money too. Not like now where it doesn't really cost that much.
You know, I remember asking my mom one day, it's like, Mom, can I call my friends back in the islands?
And what'd she
And
say?
sure enough, you know, she understood, you know, that I was missing people.
Okay, so you get shipped back to California, right?
Yep.
I'm assuming you go back to your mom.
Yep.
Okay, so how was that interaction for when you get back with her for the first time?
You know, I felt an instant connection.
Okay.
When I first saw her, I bawled my eyes out. Got into the car, and we're on a 3.5 hour drive back home, and I could not unclasp my hand from her hand, you know,
Okay.
because I missed her so much, you know. And I remember it was I guess it was my stepdad at the time, who my mom was married to, my mom,
Uh-huh.
and my aunt, one of my aunts in the back of the car as well too, and that was it. You know, that was it. And that was who was in the car, and we were just on this ride home, and I was excited, you know, that I was reunited, and I felt loved,
Right.
you know, at the time. And I fell asleep in the car on the way home, still holding on to my mom's hand.
Did you get the same feeling from her?
I did.
Okay.
I did at the moment, you know. And yeah, you know, and we arrived to our destination quite early in the morning, and we had to unwind at that point and, you know, wait for the morning, and that's when I would reunite with my brothers all over again.
Wow. That must have been a real like overwhelming feeling because you haven't seen these people in so long or even had any contact in between.
Right.
So that must have been like really overwhelming.
It is. It's very overwhelming. You know, it was actually satisfying or gratifying when I first, you know, came back, you know, because I was like, okay, I'm finally where I need to be.
Yeah.
You know, I'm under a household that
That
was
you felt welcomed.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And my mom, she opened her arms and, you know, you got nothing to worry about here. We'll take care of you. And, you know, not once that I felt threatened or I was going to be in trouble with anything, you know.
Or a break curfew that
Exactly.
you weren't supposed to.
Exactly.
To be in
right.
the house before the sun gets down.
Right.
Yeah.
If the street light comes on, then you're out too late.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember that.
Yeah.
So, when you get back, you finish up high school, obviously. So tell me,
Well, high school, I barely got away with that.
dude,
I don't know
you
how
and
I
me
made
both.
it.
You and me both, man. I don't know about you, but like I say in this podcast all the time, I was always a horrible student.
Well, you know, I mean, high school was hard for me because I came in at my at the end of my sophomore year,
Right.
and I came into a high school, you know, at a junior year,
Uh-huh.
and you know, at that point, I didn't know anybody. No one knew who I was.
Yeah, that must have been really rough to start acclimating with new people,
Yeah,
making
you know?
new friends and everything.
Right, exactly. I mean, these people have known each other, you know, from childhood.
Right.
You know, they know each other for years.
So was it easy for you to start meshing in with people really good, or did you have a difficult time?
It was slightly difficult,
Okay.
you know, because I have my own means of or I have my own attitude, I have my own personality
Right.
that didn't mesh with, their views and their thoughts and, their style and whatnot.
It's a different culture, man. Coming from an island to some place like this is a very different culture. Trust me, I know.
But you know what's funny though? The island toughens you.
Yeah, you know what? I have to revert back to generation, dude, because I'll keep that for a different discussion and a different day. But I think it comes down to generation. Um, the island does make you kind of forces you to do things on your own. But as far as like toughness, I think that's a generational. You can think differently, which is fine. But my opinion is, I think that's a generational thing.
Yeah, you know what? I can agree with that. I really do, because I have kids now.
Unfortunately, I mean that's just I don't know why. Like we were talking about this earlier today that maybe it's the technology that's, you know, it's instant answers to your questions and it's instant solutions to your problems, and I think that's what's like it's I think the thing that's lacking nowadays is how to solve a problem the long way. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, and I think technology is blocking that away from us, which is really, in actuality, making us more dumber. Because human beings, I think we were built to do things and take time to find the solutions for things. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, I take a look at my kids now and they are nothing like who I was growing up. And
right, but at the same time, they didn't go through they're not going through this. They're not really going through the same stuff that you've been through.
Right, that's for sure.
And I think that's another thing too is if you put a child in a rough situation, they're either going to have to sink or swim.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'm going to end up having to catch, one of my kids from falling. So
we'll get into that, brother. We'll get into that. So you're in high school. You're trying to acclimate with all the other people. Tell me how that goes.
Well, I didn't make a quick circle of friends, that's for sure.
Wow. So how long did it take you to actually have your, your first really good friend?
I could not even tell you. I don't even think I really had a good friend.
Wow.
When I came here, when I moved here, I was introduced to some pretty rough dudes.
Yeah.
And then they welcomed me in, and
13 seconds or what?
Basically, if you want to call it.
Yeah. I see where that's going, man.
And then that never really went well with me. I never really jived that for some reason. I just it was nice to actually have them around, and we did a lot of partying and stuff like that.
Well, that's what comes with the perks when you hang out with gangsters, man. You do a lot of partying. That's for sure.
Right, that's for sure, definitely. And you come to find out, what the worth is, with all that, later on down the line. So, I went to that stint, and I barely made it out of high school.
No,
I barely got my high school diploma.
You ain't got to explain. I hated school.
Yeah.
I hated school. And to this point, I can't do it. I went back a year and a half ago, and I just can't do it.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody, and it's definitely not for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I get it.
And so I just couldn't wait to become 18.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
like all of us when we were younger. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, when I became 18, I was going to go find me a job. I was going to get me a car. I was going to move out and live on my own. But we all know that's not the reality of it.
Nope.
So I had to deal with that struggle. But, I did find a job when I was 18.
Okay. So what'd you do?
I washed dishes.
Where at?
I was a dishwasher at a retirement community.
Hey, dude, you got something out there to do something for yourself.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what it is. And that goes out for everybody listening too. It doesn't matter what it is. As long as you're doing it for yourself, to improve yourself, I don't see any shame in whatever it is you do. So,
Yeah.
so what happened? I mean, what happens after that dishwashing job? I mean, how did you even do it for a long time?
I did it for a few years,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was just trying to make some money, but I was blowing money faster than I could make it.
Well, of course, because that age with no financial education, I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
No one ever taught me economics the right way, No one ever taught me about, future planning and whatnot,
Right.
All I knew is like, okay, here's payday. I need to get me the freshest rayon shirt,
Yeah, no,
the newest G-Rock shoes.
I can relate to that because when I was first working too, like right after high school, the things that were important to me were getting the sounds for my car. That was, and I went into debt because of that.
Right.
And I ruined my mom's credit because of that, because she gave me a credit card, dude, thinking that, yeah, he's responsible. Nope.
Oh my gosh. Well, at that point, I was already trying to establish credit. And when I found out about credit, I took that and I said, okay, you know what? I want credit here and there.
Yep, without understanding it, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, dangerous.
And I paid the price for that.
You sure do.
I really did.
Yeah.
But I quickly learned, Well, actually, I didn't quickly learn. I had to endure that for years after.
I bet it was impending, wasn't it?
Oh, man, it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. So remember, keep your credit clean.
Yeah. Spend only what you can spend on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break right now. And hey, stay tuned because this is just part of the story. The next part of the story is going to be worth listening to. So we're going to take a break. And welcome back from the break. So where we left off on the conversation was about your your responsibility with finances and your your first job as a dishwasher.
Yep.
Okay. So your first job, you do that for a few years and you think you're a baller because now you have all this money that you think you have, and then you get credit and then you think you have more money when you really don't.
Yep.
And you kind of do another grave. So then where does this turn into?
Well, I keep digging my grave with it. That's what happens with it, honestly.
Okay. You should have became a professional grave digger, dude.
Yeah, seriously. And I figured that I needed to find a different job that paid more money, because I was just digging that hole deeper and deeper, and I needed to find a way to finance all that. So I opted out and found a job working on bicycles.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I worked for a subcontractor for Schwinn and GT, and we basically built bikes in a big plant. And
so were you pursuing your dream of being a professional freestyle bicyclist?
You know what? At that point, no, I was chasing money.
Okay.
I was chasing the digits,
All right.
Because the bill collector was calling and knocking at my door.
Ain't fun, is it?
No. And so I started working at this bike shop back in the 90s and paid a little bit more. At the same time, it intrigued me because, like I said, freestyling was a thing of my past, and here I am with the opportunity to work with bicycles, mountain bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In that case.
So, were you doing the DJ thing at the same time, or how'd that come about?
I was a bedroom DJ at that time. I was got some cheap equipment in my bedroom, and I was playing music for myself, and I was pretty fantastic, at that. Of course, because I was the only fan.
Yeah, no, I bet. You're mixing it up. You're having fun with that, and I know that. I I know that feeling you get when you start mixing it up. You get lost with the music and you just keep going.
I do.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So I'm assuming that bike riding was the same with you, huh?
Yeah. Well, working at this bike shop, I was invited to go ride mountain bikes with a lot of the employees out there who were way advanced.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, that's when that passion started.
Okay. So did you get to establish a family at this point, or what happened?
I did. I was in a relationship for a few years, and I had my first child.
Okay.
And that didn't pan out too well. Me being only 20 years old.
Right, dude. That's too young, man.
Yeah, I just wasn't ready for it. I wasn't prepared.
I could have told you that, man.
Yeah, my priorities just was not straight.
Right.
And being a father was one of the last things. And I'm humbled that my son is grounded now and become a very strong young man. So,
Well, you got lucky with him.
Yeah. So I wasn't ready. I was pretty young at that point, and that kind of ended.
Yeah. So, did you date after that, or what happened?
We split, and I decided that I was just gonna get involved with some sports and do my own thing, and ride bikes, and try to live the single life.
Okay. So when you say play sports, so what did you get into? Any other sports besides riding bike?
Yeah, so I played volleyball, and that stemmed from the island.
Oh yeah, no, I know what you mean, man. Yeah,
and
okay.
Volleyball was a big thing back in the island. I remember playing beach volleyball at Tony Rama's and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
dude, I remember those times too, man.
Playing volleyball in front of my aunt's house,
Yep.
with my cousin and all his volleyball buddies. And of course playing for school too, which I barely got a chance to play on the team.
Yeah.
Because I was still struggling with some grades at one point or another.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but we were freshmen too.
Yeah.
Like freshmen don't get any play.
Yeah. And then, being that I'm here and I'm older, I didn't have to play for the schools. I just, played for the city.
Okay.
And, I was picked up by a couple of guys that were, wanted to play, but they had their doubts about me. Here I am, only 5'5".
Well, here in California, especially with these universities like Pepperdine, they're going to look at you and say, you don't play volleyball. You don't lie to us, man.
Right. I wasn't no Brian Ivy, that's for sure.
Oh, no, you weren't.
But I gave him a good run for it, though. You know what I mean? I learned a lot, when I was in the islands and playing with people that were a lot better than I was. So I brought some competition, and I had some tenacity when I went out there to play against these 6-footers and whatnot. So I held my ground when I was playing for the City League.
That's cool, man. That's real cool, especially for somebody your height.
Right. I definitely had to try harder. I had to jump harder. I had to try harder. I had to move faster.
Yep.
I had to be pretty aggressive with it, but I earned some respect, and I played for 5 or 6 seasons in the City League.
Wow. So what was their impression about you?
I was a little firecracker.
So they probably freaked out, huh?
I surprised a few people, playing co-ed, that was fun. And then I transitioned into the men's league, where I was looking for a little bit more competitiveness, and
right.
That humbled me down because when you play all men, everyone's testosterone is just above, and
it's competition time.
Oh,
bro.
yeah. But don't get me wrong, I felt like I held my ground.
That's good, and that's all that it's about, especially if you think that the odds are against you, especially being somebody who's shorter.
Yeah. And,
so would they put you at setter or what?
When I first played, honestly, I played as an outside hitter.
What?
I did.
No.
I did. And then when I transitioned into the men's league, of course, my height wasn't being able to stop those hitters,
Mm-hmm. Those 10-footers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was better off setting. So I found my place there. I wasn't great, but
That's where they put you.
I had some pretty good sets.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, not bad. I was putting off a lot of twos.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of twos.
Well, if you people don't know what the verbiage is, go look it up. You have the access.
Yeah.
So after volleyball, what else was there in the activity roster there for you?
Oh, mountain biking.
Okay.
Mountain biking for sure.
So did that become a passion for you?
That did. Early 90s. I was built my own bike up, and I was riding with these guys from San Luis Obispo, and they were showing me the trails, and all I wanted to do was ride, and ride.
Okay.
And
so while you were doing this, and you were doing DJ at the same time, right?
well, I was a bedroom DJ, and I broke out, and I did a couple little parties here and there.
So what was the transition from a bedroom DJ to an actual DJ out in the bars and the clubs and all that parties?
Oh my gosh, endless hours of mixing and perfecting, your beat matching, and promoting yourself,
So yeah, I'm kind of curious about that. Like, how would you like promote yourself? Because for most part, you did most of your DJing inside your house.
You know what I did? I made friends. I met some of the DJs playing out in the bars, and I went up and I wanted to talk to them. And I wanted to see what they were working with, and I told them that, hey, you know what, I spin a little bit here and there, and I dabble with it a little bit here and there, and I had an opportunity.
Somebody actually said, "Oh, show me what you got there."
Yeah.
They called you out on it.
Yeah,
huh?
get up there and give it a shot, and sure enough, I gave it a shot. And I was up there, and I was showing some presence in the bars and stuff like that, and I don't exactly remember when my first gig was at the bar, but I remember I was so nervous.
Oh,
I actually made some. I ordered some business cards, and I passed them out to the bars.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I got a hit.
Wow. Okay. So okay. So when you got that hit, how did you feel, man?
Man, I was excited. But nervous at the same time.
I know what you're talking about.
Because I was like, man, I don't even know what I'm going to play. I don't even know if I have enough music. Do I even have the right gear? But I took it, and I winged it, and that led to another gig, and I was on the right path.
Wow. Awesome, dude.
So,
was there any time for even having relationships with anybody out there?
Well, yeah. And then shortly after that, I met someone, of course.
Okay.
And decided that I wanted to go ahead and, take it to the next level. And, try to start a family.
Okay. And how old are you at this time?
Oh, mid-20s,
25-ish or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly. I think that's when it was.
So your mind is still not exactly as mature as it should be, but it's beginning to mature.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought I was ready, and I wanted to make that next step forward.
Right.
And I did.
Okay.
I did.
So you tell me you got married?
I did.
Okay.
I did. And had, a couple children. And, that lasted for some odd years, and inevitably it came to an abrupt stop.
Okay. So you don't have to get into details, but how was that experience? Did you learn anything? From the first one you had, did you learn anything from it and then apply it to the second one? Or, tell me how that went about.
Well, I really didn't want to have a broken home. I
can understand that.
Me coming from a broken home.
Right.
I really tried not to have that for my children at that time. But, some of these things you have no control over,
I understand.
And when someone's mind is made up, there's
That's
really
it.
nothing you can do to change that.
Right. No, I totally get it.
And you have to just, accept it at that point. And that's what I did.
And I'm taking that you learned something from the second one.
Oh, yeah. I learned a lot.
So what would be the most important lesson that you learned from the second one?
Oh, my gosh.
Is it a lot?
There's a lot.
There's a lot. So if you had to pick the top 3 things
Let's
you
not
learned,
even go there with that.
Huh?
Let's not even go there with that. Really? Top 3?
Top 3.
Man.
That's me. Okay, so
Communication.
obviously wisdom is one of them, right? Because now you're wiser, correct?
Oh, yeah.
From that one.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely you've gotten wiser. So that's probably one attribute that you've learned, becoming more wiser. So I helped you with the first one. Now you can give me 2 more.
Trusting. Trust.
Okay.
You've got to learn to trust each other.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's like the root of the relationship right there. If you don't have any trust,
Mm-hmm.
then there's no relationship.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're just coexisting at that moment,
Coexisting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is. You're just there without, having a relationship, because a relationship is based on trust.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
Okay, so you've learned to trust, and what would be the third thing?
Yeah, communicate.
That's another key thing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of couples are lacking that nowadays.
Yeah, lots of communication, and that's to be able to express yourself and, have your partner do the same with you and come to an understanding and understand who needs to compromise and when and where.
Right.
It's big.
So would you be brutally honest to somebody, or would you give them a sweet little lie?
Honesty is the best policy, right?
Right. No matter how bad it sounds, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And I've had to deal with that too, where I'd had to tell my wife brutal honesty as opposed to giving her a sweet little lie. But,
Mm-hmm.
It's better that way, because the worst thing they can do is not respect you. So I'd rather have her respect me, even though it's a brutal truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's get back to your hobbies and I'm assuming that you were doing this whole volleyball thing and stuff, mountain biking, while you were on your second one?
Yes. Well, no. I was actually doing more, still playing volleyball, and I was starting my little DJ path at that point within my second relationship.
Okay. So
Yeah.
when that ends,
And that ended, yes.
and
then as soon as that ended right there, I felt like, okay, you know what? Why dwell on this past relationship? Let's focus this negative energy into music,
okay.
and that's when I pursued, trying to play more and, trying to get a name for myself out there. And, yeah, I even spent more time out there trying to expose myself and, trying to find the right connections. And, I caught a break,
Okay. So tell me how that goes about.
So, yeah, I got a booking at one establishment one night, and I guess I did a good job that, they booked me for another night,
Okay.
And so when that happens, it kind of snowballs after that, right?
Right.
And it wasn't a big thing, but it was a big thing for me. I wasn't in a major nightclub or anything like that. I wasn't, I didn't have, 1,000 people walking through there. I was happy to get, 5 people dancing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
I was happy to get 10 people dancing. And if the bar was happy that I got, 20 people to spend, X amount of money, and they wanted to book me another night, hey, I did my job.
Yeah.
And then, that slowly grew into, a larger crowd, right? Bigger following.
Your reputation was out there.
Yeah. You
Okay.
know. And at the same time, I wasn't trying to boast myself, you know what I mean? And, you know, trying to be the superstar. You know, I just was trying to get out there and, you know, trying to follow a passion.
And I see how this passion has still followed you till now too, huh?
Yeah. Despite where I stand now physically, yeah.
We'll get into that, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole, you're doing this whole DJ thing. I'm assuming you're still doing your mountain biking thing.
You know, yeah. As soon as you know, I get into this whole DJ thing, you know, the volleyball stops. You know,
it's hard to balance stuff, huh?
Yeah, and then I get into actually I get into competitive paintball.
Okay.
You know,
how long did that last for?
Oh, you know, a few years.
Okay.
I believe, you know, my passion to play paintball was happening a few years, and I try to get into a league, you know, and do some traveling and try to play some tournaments, and that was fun while it lasted. But you know, you've got to have some pretty deep pockets to to play that sport.
Yeah, especially if you're traveling all the time doing it.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted, but I just couldn't keep up with the net worth, you know.
I understand. I totally understand.
Yeah.
So, as this is going, you know, you're doing your DJ thing. I'm assuming you're still doing your mountain bike riding thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after paintball, you know, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna ride more. You know, I'm gonna get out there and pedal.
Okay. Now, during this time, how many years have passed from the time you've already been away from your second one?
Ooh, I don't know, a few years.
So were you, did you still like, did you go date people casually, or did you not date? I mean, what did you do?
Yeah. I definitely, you know, felt alone out there, and naturally, you know, we want to find comfort and confide in somebody, right?
Right.
And I tried that. You know, I dated a few people, you know, decided that, you know, maybe I'll try moving out of the small city and try the bigger cities, you know.
Okay. So where'd you move to?
I tried moving up to the Bay Area.
Okay.
San Jose to be exact.
So how'd that go? And how long were you out there for?
I was out there for about a year, 11, 12 months, something like that. And come to find out that the city wasn't for me.
You came from a small city, didn't you?
Yeah, small.
And on top of that, you came from a small island.
Correct.
So life is pretty like easy going in places like those, huh?
It is.
And then to transition into something where it's on the go all the time.
Fast pace.
Plan out everything.
Every minute.
It's all about status.
Stature.
Right? It must have been really hard to kind of acclimate to that.
It was very difficult to get used to that. I'm a guy that is all about being spontaneous, you know, and the city proves that there is no such thing
as
no
that. Spontaneity. Huh?
None whatsoever. Yeah. You know, you've got to have your planner out, ready to rock and roll. You know, everything's planned out.
So let me ask you this. Being in a city and you being out there, give me one experience that you remember that still sticks out to this day.
Oh, yeah, I could tell you one thing. I tried to order a drink at the bar.
Hey, this is perfect because this is the Speak Uneasy, baby.
Yeah. I went to order some drinks for a group of people that I was with, and I was told to order a stiff drink with a chaser, but I couldn't ask for a chaser in that way. I couldn't use that verbiage.
Okay.
I was told to ask for a pineapple back.
Okay, so what was going through your head when you were instructed to order a drink like that?
I'm like, why? What difference does it make? You know, it's a damn chaser, you know?
Yeah. So you're probably thinking, man, this guy is like some kind of snooty dude who thinks his thing don't sting.
And that, yeah, And slowly and surely, I finally realized that some of these city slickers are just on a whole different level. You
Yeah.
know?
You're absolutely right. Like there's no genuine part of it. You know what I mean? And I wish I can say where I was, or
Don't get me wrong, they were nice people. You know what I mean? But I
right.
don't understand. I mean, why couldn't I say, "Let me have a pineapple chaser"? I don't know what the
They made a
difference is.
big deal out of something that shouldn't
Why?
be a big
Why?
deal.
Why do I got to call it a back?
I don't know, man. I'm the speakeasy. I was the speak uneasy dude. So you can order a drink however the hell you want here. So as far as me, bro, you can order your drink any way you want.
Yeah.
Just as long as you communicate that well to me that I understand it. And make sure that I'm sober when I do that too.
Yeah. Let me just have a chaser. Let me just have a pineapple chaser. Let me just have a Coke chaser. Let me something to chase this whiskey down or something like that. But no, I had to ask for a back.
I don't get it, bro. I don't get it.
So that was enough for me to say, you know what? Maybe the city wasn't for me.
So you come back. You come back.
Well,
to,
I was traveling back and forth every weekend to come and see my kids.
Right. Right.
And I was exhausting my funds.
Oh.
And the city costs money to live out there, man.
Oh, hell yeah, it does, dude. You didn't know that?
Yeah. Well, I learned the hard way.
Well, yeah, I guess you did, huh?
I thought I was clearing my mind, but I was clearing my bank account.
Yeah. No.
Faster than
you weren't. The city was.
Yeah. Yeah. City life.
So, I'm assuming you didn't stay out there too
long. No, I did about a year out there, and I ended up moving back.
Okay.
And I found ease coming back to this small town.
You belong here, man.
I like the slow pace. I love the
Slow
spontaneous.
pace myself. I love the slow pace.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just hate the fast pace. I just hate it. I've come from a place where it's slow pace, and I want to die in a place that's slow pace.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you on that.
I agree, man. I like the Central Coast, and it's fitting for me.
What's funny is that I never, of all the years that I lived here in California, I've never been in the Central Coast. And what was really interesting is that driving from SoCal to here was a very soothing drive, because you would be on the coast, on the beach,
yep.
And all of a sudden you'd be out in the country.
Yeah.
And that was kind of freaky to me, but at the same time I was like, wow, this is very, very like soothing to my brain, the scenery, because I'm all about looking at the country, like the beauty of whatever landmark has.
Right.
I'm all into that.
Yeah. I've actually had some friends that came in from the city one time, and they were telling me, like, man, you live out in the sticks.
Yeah, but those are the people who don't appreciate, the slow pace and the quietness of small towns.
Yeah.
They have no appreciation for that. And that's sad, because, man, all these things were created for us to enjoy. And for some reason, these people are living in a different kind of world where it's all artificial. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I definitely do.
So, all right. So you come back. Were you still doing bike riding?
No, I took a little break when I moved up there, and I came back, and I wanted to continue playing music,
You went back to DJing?
Yeah, so I had to reestablish myself all over again.
Man, that must have been that must have sucked to start from ground zero again.
Actually, I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I enjoyed that hustle.
Okay.
And I did. I ended up reestablishing myself, and it grew from there. You know what I mean? When I say grow, I'm not talking like big scene nightclubs or
right.
big known numbers or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
I was content with the small bars. I was content with the 50 people capacity. I was content with the 60 people, whatever, whatever it can hold.
Right.
The 50 people felt like there was 1,000 in there to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Any reason why you didn't want to expand bigger than that, or?
There was no reason. If it was going to take me there, then I would be happy to to do it.
Okay.
You know.
So it was just a come as you take it as you go kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know, and then at the same time too, I was also working a full-time job at that point. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's kind of hard to juggle around.
Sometimes the busiest nights were in the middle of the week. You know, with some of these larger nightclubs and whatnot. You know.
So did you consider DJing work, or did you even consider it partying, or both?
You know what? It actually worked three ways. It was a little bit of partying, of course, a little bit of work because you get some earnings, but a lot of it was just it was a passion that I was fulfilling.
Okay, fair enough.
That was gratifying for me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Fair enough. Fair enough, man.
I mean, it was like a job where you can actually drink and get paid for.
And play music, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean, man.
Who doesn't like that? That was fun.
Sounds like a good thing to me.
Yeah.
So, when you come back from the city, I mean, since you're busy, I'm assuming you didn't have time to date, or did you find somebody, or no?
I did.
Okay.
I did find somebody.
So tell me how that came about.
That was pretty amazing, actually.
Did you guys get hooked up by a mutual friend? Did you guys meet on? I don't know.
Yeah. There was a mutual friend, of course, involved, and I was getting invited, and I was inviting myself. Just because the presence of this particular gal was there, and that led to where it is now, which is something special.
Okay, and you guys been together for
10 years.
Wow. And I'm assuming you're very happy with it.
I couldn't be. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you're with her. You're still into your biking thing now. You were telling me you were getting ready for a race, right?
Yes.
Before you start that, though, you were getting a lot more serious into your mountain biking.
Right. With this relationship, it was so open. It was so fluid that we have a great relationship, and I had the time to focus on mountain biking and health and fitness.
She was supportive of you doing it too.
Absolutely.
Huh? And you were doing races as well?
I wasn't doing races. I was really just riding a lot.
Okay. And you were riding with people who did actual races.
Yeah. I've actually rode with some people that race, competitively.
Okay.
And that are, even sponsored at one point.
So what made you decide to start getting serious getting serious about the biking thing, going into competitions? I mean, what was the?
It's just another passion.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I fell in love with biking, so not only is it fun, but it's healthy for you as well, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I ain't gonna argue that.
It kept me in shape, and the camaraderie that I built with people on the trail. Some of the most amazing people that you'll meet on the trail are on bikes.
Wow. I don't bike, so I wouldn't know, but I can kind of imagine that.
Yeah, that biking connection is something amazing. I've met some friends, and I still have established that great friendship with them today.
Wow, that's amazing. So, okay, so you're bike riding, and you're with your girl, and at this point you're happy because you've got the support from your girl. You're doing what you're doing because you're happy doing it.
Right.
And there's a race coming up, right?
There was a race coming up.
Okay, so
I've been biking for years. I'm content with where I'm living. We've got a roof over our head.
Right.
We've got finances straight and everything like that. She supports my bike riding. I'm riding religiously. I'm hitting the weekends. I'm hitting the weekdays. I'm getting fast. I'm on Strava. I'm placing top 10 here and there. I'm thinking, look, I got a little cockiness growing in me, and I'm training. And then an event starts to pop up in my backyard. Our first mountain bike race, in our area.
Let's just clarify that. When you say your backyard, not literally your backyard, but like in your part of town.
In my part of town, there was a hill out here that I would ride religiously.
So what's the trail called?
It's called Orchid Hill.
Okay. Because
And
there
it's,
might be some people out there who knows these kind of trails.
yeah, it's a little hill out here, but you were able to, pump out, as much miles as you want, but you would have to,
So what was the difficulty of this trail? Was it even difficult?
I mean, it wasn't difficult. It had its
There were pockets.
yeah, there was pockets of challenges and features and jumps and berms and downhill sections, if you want to call it. Nothing too gnarly, but you were able to gain some substantial speed.
Uh-huh.
And open air feels fast all the time.
Yeah.
So, we're riding these trails, day in and day out, Monday through Sunday.
And you're used to this trail because you've done it so many times.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So let's get closer to the race that you're training.
I am training, and I usually work 4 days out of the week, and I had Mondays off.
Okay.
And I decided to go out the week prior to the race. And
did you push it more than you should have?
I did. I was racing against the clock, and I was using an app to actually time my runs, and I felt good on this very last run.
Uh-huh.
And I decided to go ahead and take a feature, and tragedy struck at that point.
So what happened?
I was racing down a hillside, and I decided to take a jump that I overshot, and ended up coming over the handlebars, and I impacted my head on the ground, and I pretty much suffered a spinal cord injury at that point, which rendered me a quadriplegic.
Wow. What was going through your mind, dude?
Well, I knew for once that I overshot my landing when I was in the air. And as soon as I impacted the ground and I was laying on the ground, all I could do was look up at the sky and tell myself, okay, I took a fall. It's time to get up and, dust myself off and go home and get cleaned up.
Well, were you alone, or were you with other people riding?
I was actually with a friend, and, he was still a few minutes behind me before he realized I was on the ground and I took a fall.
Oh, man. So he must have felt like, dude, what happened?
Yeah, so when I went down, he finally shows up, and he tells me, all right, bro, let's go. Let's get up. You took a spill. It's time to go home. And at that point, I told him, well, I couldn't move. I couldn't pull my phone out to call, someone to let him know that I'm okay. I couldn't get up and walk away and dust myself off. And at that point, when I told him that I couldn't move, the thought of me suffering this injury ran through my mind. And there was some acceptance there that I had to take in.
That must have been a very difficult thing to accept, bro.
I think that me accepting it right then and there helped me.
With the coping?
Right, exactly. Helped me cope with the injury at that moment, because I knew that came with the territory when you were riding these bikes.
Right. When
you're pushing the limits like I did.
So who called? I mean, does your friend call for? I mean, obviously he did.
Yep, he did call.
So then what happens after that?
So when he makes a phone call, some of the trail hikers start gathering around and, asking if I'm okay. And, and I'm telling them that I couldn't move, and, I can hear some of the panic in people's voices. And at the same time, I'm laid on my back and I'm looking at the sky, and I can't move anything.
It's amazing how you remember that, like crystal clear.
I do. I wasn't knocked unconscious or anything. I was fully awake when that all happened. And so I can hear the sirens in the distance, you know, getting closer and closer. And next thing I know, the paramedics were right by my side.
So could they move you? I mean, did they take you to the ambulance?
They didn't want to move me just yet.
Okay.
You know, I was, just answering all the questions that they had for me.
Right.
You know, and those questions were, can you move? No. Can you feel this? No. Does it hurt anywhere? No.
What'd they tell you?
They were securing me.
Like they didn't tell you anything. When they were assessing you, they didn't tell you like there could be a possibility of whatever.
No, because they were pretty much trying to assess my damage.
How about the expressions on their face?
They were doing what they needed to do. You know, they were calm and they were prompt about what they were going to do.
Okay.
And they were making decisions. You know, and they were trying to figure the severity of my injury.
Okay. So how did you get transported to the hospital?
I was flown from CalStar.
You were
on a
airlifted,
helicopter.
okay.
I was airlifted, medically airlifted. I was pretty much, my neck was secured. I was placed on a gurney. They hiked me up about, 40 yards or so to where the helicopter landed on the field, and secured me into the helicopter. And next thing I know, I was on a 20-minute flight to Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital.
Okay. So you get rolled into the ER?
I got rolled into the examination room.
Okay.
And in that room, I was surrounded by physicians and nurses and who knows what. And I was being probed in every single orifice in my body.
Right.
You know,
So I'm assuming like they took your vitals. They're trying to get an X-ray done at the same time, right away.
well, at that point, they were checking all my vitals.
Okay.
And they were checking and asking me if I can feel certain movements in my body.
Right.
And all those answers were no. I couldn't feel anything.
So
They were pricking my fingers. They were scratching the bottom of my feet to see if I tickled, you know, and I had no feeling whatsoever.
Wow.
And at that point, no one clarified anything to me yet.
It was only after they did their MRI or X-ray that
Yeah,
they...
so shortly after that, I was able to see, one family member, and then I was rushed into the MRIs after that. Soon after, I went through 2 or 3 MRIs. I was pulled out of there, and I was met with a doctor immediately, and that's when he told me that I suffered a spinal cord injury. That I pretty much crushed my C4, C5 spinal cord.
So how did you take that news? Or did you even understand what he was saying?
I didn't really understand what was going on. I didn't know anything about the anatomy or the structure in my neck or anything like that. All I was told is that I suffered a spinal cord injury, and it was still intact. And there's some swelling in my spinal cord, and that we're going to have to take you into surgery.
Okay. And they said right away, right?
Right away.
Okay.
So we go into the surgery room, and they prep me, and the mask comes right over my head. I take 2 deep breaths, and next thing I know, I'm out.
Okay. So you go into surgery. Did they tell you how long surgery lasted?
It was about a 4-hour surgery, and they performed what they call a laminectomy.
For those people who don't speak the verbiage, I mean, in layman's terms, what pretty much happens in that?
So they pretty much remove some bone out of the vertebrae right behind my neck to alleviate the pressure from my spinal cord. So it's kind of like taking the roof off of your house,
right,
to relieve some of that pressure, because you got some swelling inside. Like, let's say you had a big old balloon in your house and it was just pushing on your ceiling. That was basically what was going on with my spinal cord, and they pretty much took the roof off to allow it to alleviate some of that the swelling. Yeah.
So that being said, do you have any like support in your back?
I had no support in my back. I was pretty much bedridden at that point. So soon after surgery, I come out and family out there was waiting for me. And my son had told me, hey, Dad, raise your hands up. And apparently I did.
But you don't remember that.
And I don't remember that.
That was probably because you were drugged up from the painkillers.
Or the anesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I was wheeled into ICU.
So what happens after that? Like, how long were you in ICU for?
So I was in ICU for 8 days.
Did you do anything during those 8 days as far as like, how did you feel, dude?
I was in pain.
I mean, I know you were in pain, but mentally, what was going through your head?
Well, the first 8 days was nothing but pain, and that's what you have to endure.
Okay.
You know.
And I'm assuming that's probably the worst pain that you've ever felt in your entire life.
Oh man, it hurts so bad.
What would you compare it to?
I can't even compare it.
Okay, that's a fair thing to say.
I can't compare it. All I know is that I was needing medication because it hurt so bad.
Okay.
And I couldn't take it away. I had no movement still at that point. I was in bed, and nurses would have to come in and turn me every 2 hours, alternating sides, because they didn't want me to build pressure sores on my backside or my back or wherever it is.
So were you able to at least move like an appendage?
No.
Nothing.
From
the shoulder down?
From the shoulders down.
Wow,
all I could do was move my head, slowly. I can slightly turn my head left and right.
And that's it.
And that was it.
Oh man, that must have been like something going. I mean, at this point, you're just dealing with the pain. But you said you were in ICU for 8 days.
Yes.
So after that 8 days, where do you get transferred to?
So I got transferred to a care room out of ICU for 1 day. And I spent 1 day in that room where I actually had a full meal.
How'd that feel?
That was great.
The best meal you had?
It was pretty damn good. I think one of my friends brought me some In-N-Out.
Were you only on IV during that time before your first solid meal?
Yes, I was on IV.
Oh gosh, that must have really sucked.
I had a PICC line as well too.
Huh.
And I was just getting pumped up with drugs.
Okay.
Painkillers.
So you're in this room for 1 day. So what's the next step from this? I mean, what did they tell you?
So at that point, they were going to. So I was getting assessed for like speech.
Okay.
They wanted to see my cognizance and see if I suffered any kind of brain injury. So I had to go through those series of tests.
Okay.
And I was fine. I didn't suffer any type of major head injuries or anything like that.
But even if you didn't pass, it's because you weren't a good student anyway. So.
That's right.
I just had to throw that in there. But okay, so you do the assessment for your mental abilities.
Mm-hmm.
You pass that, and then what happens next?
So at that point, they're prepping me to transfer over to physical rehab.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see a new challenge in the horizon with this one.
Yeah. So they start prepping me, and they put me. They still keep me on the bed, and they strap me into this bed, and they're wheeling me into this van. And next thing I know, I'm getting transported to Cottage Rehabilitation Center.
Okay. So did they start with day one with the rehab, or what happened?
No, actually, I actually finally got my first shower at day 10.
How'd that feel?
Oh my gosh, that was the best feeling ever.
Oh yeah, man.
I mean,
I bet a bath would have been even better though.
I felt the oil and the thick waste in my hair, and I still had some dirt,
From the trail?
Yeah, behind my
man.
ear, and stuff like that. And it's just to get that shower was so refreshing.
Yeah. So you get the shower the first day, and you don't do anything yet in rehab.
Correct.
Okay.
And keep in mind, I'm not able to transfer myself out of the bed, so they pretty much have a sling that's attached to the ceiling.
Right, and they have to lift you up with some kind of lift, right?
It's like a crane, yeah, like a big. It's like that machine that you put a quarter in, it comes down and it picks up some candy and you take it in, you dump it into the basket, and you're rewarded with your candy.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Same. My daughter loves that game.
Yeah.
Every time we go in Dave and Buster's, she always wants to play that game. Says I tell her no, because we have too many stuffed animals already. You don't need another one.
Yeah. So these nurses got to come in and they got to put this sling around me and hook me up to this lift and take me and drop me onto the wheelchair.
So you were able to sit though.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was able to sit.
Okay.
To lean into my chair.
Yeah.
I had no trunk control. I had no movement in my feet, my legs, my hands.
So
my
if
arms.
You were to lean forward a little bit, you'd eat it.
I would definitely topple over.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So when did you start your rehab, and tell me how the experience was for you? And did they even set some kind of parameters with you as far as how they're going to be with you during rehab?
I don't know. Day 11 was day 1 of rehab.
Day 11 was day 1?
Yep.
Wow. Why did they wait that long?
Apparently, with an injury like this, the sooner you start, your chances are increased for recovery.
Okay.
From my understanding. And I didn't understand that. All I knew is that I couldn't move. Okay. And I was scared. I didn't have the energy to do it.
Okay. So let's go to day 11 on your first day of rehab.
Yep.
So why don't you walk me through that day?
Okay. Well, get up in the morning and you get dressed, wheel you out to rehab. You finally meet your occupational therapist and you meet your physical therapist. And the first thing they wanted me to do was to stand up. And that was the most difficult thing to do.
I can imagine, because you hadn't stood up. I think the last time you stood up was probably before your accident.
Yeah.
And having to do this was probably going to be very, very difficult and painful for you to do.
It was. Yeah, I was still suffering from the surgery.
Right.
I had no core strength. I had no power in me whatsoever, and that's just a part of this injury.
So what was going through your head when you were trying to do the stand-up?
I couldn't do it. I wasn't strong enough. I felt like I was going to fall over. Told my PT, I can't do it.
Were you telling yourself in your head, though, that you better do it or do it? Or?
At that point, I was like, I can't do it. I was scared. My body didn't want to. It didn't respond to what my brain was telling it to do.
Right.
And here's my PT holding on the side of me, helping me try to stand up. And I was like, no, I can't do it.
Okay. So let's go to the following day where you were able to at least take your first stand up.
Yeah. And
tell me what day that was, and tell me what was going through your head.
I think that was, the next day or the third day into it that, my PT had told me, we're not going to say no. We don't take no for an answer around here.
Okay.
We're going to keep on going, and you're going to keep on going.
What was going through your head?
I was going to try. Okay. That's what I told her. All right, let's give it a shot. Let's go.
Okay.
And sure enough, we got up. We stood for the first time.
How long did that take you?
And at least 2 or 3 days to actually get up on my feet.
But that actual session, how long did it take you from the chair to stand up? Just to stand up?
An hour?
Wow. So it took you an hour to stand up.
Basically, we tried to, we just tried, got to keep on trying, it was, leaning forward a little bit. It was placing my foot down, trying to find my footing, try to transfer some of that power from my quads to my.
And you couldn't even feel anything.
Right. I was still dealing with the pain in my neck and the tightness in my shoulders.
Right.
And the paralysis just takes over.
So let's go through the motions of your whole rehab. Tell me the experience of your whole rehab and how that went about. Like, did it progress to the point where you're saying, now you're telling yourself, I'm either going to be a victim or I'm going to come out of this stronger than ever?
Exactly. And I think you nailed it with that, and I didn't want to be the guy that was just going to sit here and do nothing. As soon as I discovered that I could stand, then.
So where do you think you get the fortitude from that?
I don't know.
Where does all that will come from?
That, man, it's got to be from my upbringing, knowing that I didn't have anything and no one else was going to get it for me but myself.
It's very true, man. That's very true, and I think that's lacking a lot with a lot of young people nowadays. And they need to hear something like this, because struggles are nothing. I don't look at struggles as something bad. Mm-hmm. I always look at every struggle as something that you must embrace in order for you to even become a better person.
Yeah. And
you're proof of that, brother. Yeah. I mean, you even said yourself that your will, all that stuff has become even stronger because of the things that you've been through.
Yeah.
So
there's no magic pill for this injury.
Right.
There is no medicine, for this injury.
Right.
There's no one person that can fix it.
No, well, I think you're wrong about that. There's one person who can fix it, but not to the degree that you think, but it will definitely improve who you are. And I think that one person is yourself.
Yes.
And I think you've proved that to a lot of people.
Yeah. I just, I saw that I can stand up, and then we started working on transfers, transferring from my wheelchair to the bench, and I was able to pull that off, and as soon as I saw these small gains, which in reality were huge milestones, in a body like this,
right?
That showed me that, okay, there is hope. We just got to keep on going.
Right.
And maybe a week or two into PT, I was progressing so much that I needed more.
You wanted more?
I wanted more PT. I wanted more OT. I asked for it. I went to the doctors. I said, hey, you know what? I need more physical therapy.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Now, I was already having, occupational therapy and physical therapy 5 days a week, 4 hours a day, and I asked for more.
How much more can you get than that, man? Well, you need a break you need at least a day break.
Well, they granted me 6 days with another hour of PT, so I said, I'll take it.
You
if they would have given me 7, I would have taken that too.
You got some balls on you, bro.
With an injury like this, you either get up and you make the change yourself, or you let it consume you. And I wasn't allowed that to happen.
Right. So you're going through all this rehab and stuff for, I don't know, how long were you doing this whole thing for?
So I was only granted 6 weeks of physical therapy.
Okay. So you're progressing very good. You're getting better every day.
And I'm grunting. I am screaming in PT.
you're cursing and because it's just you're letting the aggression out as you're doing it.
And
I'm assuming,
I'm
right?
trying my hardest.
So the visual I'm getting is Rocky Four when he's training hard in the snow and all that stuff, and he's grunting, is the same thing, right? With trying to get that aggression out as you're doing what you're doing.
The grunting, yes,
Yeah.
but the training is completely different because Rocky was actually able to get up and
No, I get that, but I'm just trying to paint a picture here
right, sure,
of
yeah,
you
yeah,
making those noises as you're working out.
definitely. It took a Rocky grunt for me just to turn over from one side to the other.
Right, right. Yeah. Wow.
You
So
know,
you're
it took a Rocky grunt just to walk 10 feet.
yeah. No, I know what you're saying. But you're progressing every day with something really good every day from the 6 weeks that you were in rehab, right?
Yeah, I really wanted to stay in rehab because I know that if I would have stayed there, I would have recovered so much more.
Right.
You know, it's kind of sad that the insurance companies don't see it that way.
Well,
You know,
that's how it always works with these.
and they felt like 6 weeks was more than enough for me to,
Well,
to
apparently
recover.
they call the shots because they pay the. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, paralysis doesn't work that way.
I know, and I agree with you, man. I wish the insurance companies would do more for people who have more ailments, especially after paying every month for some. You pay for insurance every month through your employer in the hopes that they would cover what they would cover, but they just don't sometimes, man. I
Yeah,
don't understand how that works.
yeah,
So after you get released from your rehab, you come home.
yep.
Now,
Discharged.
do you start doing all these things on your own, or what happens to you?
I don't. I come home to an empty house
Okay,
and I settle in, and it feels good to be back.
right,
You know, I'm excited to be
home.
back home.
Right, you're
You
home.
know, I'm away from the hospital food, which actually was actually pretty dang good. I might add.
Because they were there for you. The people were there for you, helping you, and
Yeah,
you're used to the whole. You've gotten used to the whole thing for like what, a month and a half, something like that. 2 months, almost
yeah,
2 months.
2 months, basically.
So you come home, you're not in your daily grind anymore. So tell me where that takes you
Yeah,
mentally.
I came home and I was excited to be home, and I finally come to realization that I was lost without physical therapy.
Okay, so tell me how
And
did you get to a bad spot? I mean, tell me what happens.
I did. I actually fell into some depression, you know, and I was battling these demons because I didn't have the care staff out there helping me, you know, get up and get dressed.
Right.
And I didn't have the same, I didn't have enough strength yet to really do things on my own at that point, you know.
Okay.
I was barely walking, you know, with crutches, and I was barely able to, you know, move from the bedroom to the couch and stay planted on the couch.
So what was going through your mind? Like, I mean, I know you felt lost, but what else was going through your mind that made you feel depressed?
I wasn't working, man. You know, I wasn't able to provide, you know, for my family, you know, and that's what I was really dwelling on, you know.
Right.
I miss being at work. I miss, you know, paying the bills and, you know, what was going to happen next.
You miss paying bills, man?
You know, as odd as it sounds, man, you know, yeah, I really missed it, man. I felt like I was a provider, and I felt like I was, you know.
Okay, in that aspect, I can understand that, but let's be honest, man. Ain't nobody want to pay any bills.
Yeah.
So you're feeling like, damn, dude, I'm the bread earner of the house, and here I am in the house, and I can't do anything because of my injury.
Yeah.
So where does that take you, man? I mean, does that take you down the road of like
Yeah, I felt
depression
defeated.
real bad?
I was defeated. I felt defeated because I didn't have that positive energy around me like I was in rehab. You know, you have nurses in there saying, "Hey, you're doing a great job.
Right.
You know, keep it up. I seen you walking the other day, or I seen you do this, and I seen you pull that off, and that's a great feeling, you know.
Right.
And you don't have that when you come home. You know, you have walls around you. You got nothing but time.
Uh-huh.
You know, you obviously can't go back to work because you're still on leave. You know, you're not making a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're completely out of your element because you can't. You've got no function.
Right. No, you kind of feel like you're not worth anything, and I mean, that's the feeling I'm beginning to understand that you're having. That you have no self worth. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, what point do you get to when you say to yourself, you know what? I can't be like this.
You know, I got people visiting me, and my lights were off, and they saw the blank stare in my eyes, and how I was just gazing at this wall, and you know, seeing that I was defeated, and they were questioning, you know, what am I doing to myself? You know, why?
Yeah.
You know, you did so much in rehab. You know, we believe in you. You know, we know that you can do this.
So did that give you a feeling of I can't let them down because I've already been so far with the rehab that I've done, and I've already recovered as much as where I'm at right now.
Exactly.
That I feel that, you know, with these people's support, that I kind of have to live up by what they're expecting me to come out to.
Yeah, and in my relationship, you know, I had a talk with, you know, with my significant other, and you know, she had told me that, you know, if there's someone out there that can defeat this and defy this, it's you.
Right.
And I believe in you, but you can't give up on yourself.
Absolutely.
I had friends tell me the same thing too, and they would come in, you know, and then my kids would see me, you know, sitting there, you know, doing nothing and questioning, and I could see the worry, you know, in their eyes as well too.
You know what? I could be wrong about this, but maybe your kids had a big thing to. It made you wake up even more because of your kids.
Yeah.
With their concern.
It did. It finally did. You know, and I think I was maybe 3 weeks into this depression that I finally had that talk with my significant other, and I was like, you know what, you're right. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep on going.
So what have you been doing since then? I mean,
so at that point, I had to reach out and do some outpatient therapy. So I had to find a clinic that was offering, you know, therapy in my area.
Okay.
And I finally did. And I found someone that was able to do it, and I was scheduled 3 days out of the week.
Okay.
You know, and then at the same time too, I reached out to a local gym owner and told him my story.
You want to mention who it is?
Yeah. I reached out to Mark over at Custom Workouts, and he was more than happy to help me with my recovery. So he allowed me to come in, and he was going to help me build some strength and train me.
So is this the same guy whose mother went through a spinal cord injury as well?
Yes, after I shared my story, he had told me that it touched him, you know,
okay,
and it brought him close home because his mother also suffered an injury as well too.
So he had some kind of attachment to your specific injury,
right?
And
correct.
he, you know, that little passion that he wanted to help.
Yeah, and he saw his mother go through it, and she had a remarkable, you know, recovery. I mean, till this day too, she's amazing, and she's made a huge dent. She's actually defied the odds.
Wow.
You know, and it's amazing.
Wow. You know, we've been friends for a while, but we haven't kept in contact until just recently. And, you know, I do follow you on Facebook, and the videos that I've seen, like, progress over time, the position that you're at right now, man, there's no words that can describe it, man. Like, you went from somebody who couldn't walk or even couldn't feel anything below the shoulder to somebody who's going to the gym, working on TRX, and doing all sorts of exercises, man.
Yeah.
And then you got somebody like me who's just lazy to just work, when I should be working out for myself and I just don't do it. And
Right.
you're giving me, now you're making me feel guilty about myself, saying, dude, I shouldn't have any type of excuse. Being busy shouldn't be an excuse, but because you because you have this injury, but yet you say to yourself, I'm not accepting it and I'm going to make myself better.
Right. Who doesn't want to be independent? When you're in this form, in this body right here, you have, for me, all I wanted was my independence back. I wanted to be able to feed myself.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to be able to brush my own teeth,
Right.
because when I first got hurt, I couldn't do any of that.
Right.
Someone had to spoon feed me. Someone had to brush my teeth. Someone had to put my socks on, put my pants on.
How did that
put
make you
my
feel?
shoes on. Man, modesty was gone, out the door,
Right.
Nurses had to come in and change me, people I didn't even know.
But it clicked in your head that you didn't want people to do this for you forever, right?
Right, of course, because we're grown people, right?
Right.
We change ourselves.
Right.
We dress ourselves.
Well, especially being in a generation that we come from. Well, I mean, they call us the latchkey, I think it's called the latchkey kids. Kids that grew up like in the 80s and the 90s that did for ourselves. And the reason why they call us the latchkey generation is because, if you had parents or any type of supervision with parents, they would leave us home by ourselves and we'd have to kind of take care of ourselves from there, like,
Right.
cook our own food, and do all sorts of things on our own.
Yep.
So I think part of that too was our upbringing,
Yeah.
as our generation. Well, I'm talking about, but and I also think the extra drive that you had definitely came from the rough upbringing that you came from, and I can totally relate to that to an extent. Not as extreme as yours, but I definitely had my moments where I was alone and I had to grow up fast.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that has to do with upbringing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, there was a lot of hard work, and I saw that all the work I put in was paying off.
Uh-huh.
Even if it was a small thing, even if it was, being able to take an extra step,
Right.
that was a huge milestone for me. That told me that something was changing,
Right.
that I was getting better, that I could possibly defy the odds.
No, with no excuses too.
Right, exactly. So I was doing, physical therapy, 3 days a week. I had occupational therapy 2 days a week. And within those times, I was also finding time to go into the gym to work with a personal trainer.
Man, look at you, man. It almost sounds like a professional athlete's life.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. All I know is that with all the work, there was some gains,
Right.
and nothing comes for free. You got to work at it, right?
No, I agree. I totally agree. Nothing does come for free. You have to pay the price,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be your time, whether it be your sweat, blood, tears, whatever it is, man. The struggle, and I think the whole lesson in the struggle itself, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's so worth it because you know what you're capable of doing, and even if you're thrown with something so hard, you know that you have the fortitude to at least try to overcome that. So
Yeah. Well, when I was in rehab, I told myself that I was going to walk out of rehab.
yeah, did you?
I did.
That's awesome, dude. That is so awesome.
I had crutches, but I did.
Hey, dude, you walked. That's a big milestone in somebody who has an injury like you do. So let me ask you this. After you told me that you had some kind of recognition too by the hospital.
Yeah, I was actually awarded Inpatient of the Year.
Okay, so you gotta tell me this. You gotta tell me this story again because I've heard this story, but it's funny because for some odd reason you didn't think it was a big thing,
No,
which
I
made
didn't.
the story really funny.
Yeah, so shortly after discharge, I was called by the rehab center, and they were telling me like, "Hey, we want to award you Inpatient of the Year.
Uh-huh.
would you accept that? And I was like, okay, what does that
You
mean?
didn't even know what that was, huh?
No. And I was like, well, it's an award, showing that, you're one of our patients that had great tenacity and drive, to towards your recovery. I was like, okay, well, cool. I'll take it. I'll be there this certain day. And come to find out, I didn't realize the size and the magnitude of this award.
Like, what do you mean? Like, who were there?
I guess,
Big wigs?
big wigs, people of the city council members and whatnot were there, recognizing patients that are going through these adversities, and I happen to get that award for being that patient of the year that went through these
So
struggles.
did you have to do some kind of speech or anything
I
like
did.
that? So was that a oh shit moment for you?
That was an oh shit moment for me, but so funny, the DJ kind of kicked in at that point, and here I am. I'm grasping the mic and I'm getting into my story, and next thing I know, I'm bawling my eyes out, because I've come so far.
No shame in that, dude.
Right.
No shame in that at all. You've accomplished something, and you realize at that moment that you've accomplished so much, man.
And I was
shame.
And I was so grateful, and I was so thankful to the people there at Cottage Rehab for doing what they did with me, and putting all this time and belief that I can actually make a change.
So you had the whole community behind you, man.
Yep. Not only was I bawling out, but everyone else on their chairs were doing the same thing.
Dang, dude, why'd you do that, man?
I don't know, man. That's just natural.
I'm just joking, dude.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see that the community was backing you up, and
yeah.
So I remember you telling me that the community did something for you.
It did.
What did they do?
So as soon as I reached out to Mark over at Custom Workouts, he decided that he wanted to go ahead and put a fundraiser together for me in support of my recovery. And so what happened is that we went ahead and put together what we called a fall carnival fundraiser for my benefit, and basically we had some exercises, some barbecues and stuff like that, and people were offered to buy tickets, and a lot of the funds went into my rehabilitation with Mark, for the rest of the year. And so we did that, and we're continuing. Nice. And I owe it to my community for doing.
See, that's one thing about small towns, man. Like, they come together when somebody really needs the help.
Yeah. I
don't know if big cities would do that, especially with the vibe of a big city like San Jose, for example, or even I don't know if they have the whole community thing going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, our community was great. They're amazing, and I feel like I still owe it to them till this day. I'll be forever grateful. That's for sure.
That's awesome, dude. That's, shouts to the people that live out here. I'm grateful that you've helped my boy here, because the way it seems is that he's not going to let you down. He's not. So, man, I'm grateful for that for you.
Yeah.
So tell me how your daily routine is now.
Well, I am, 18 months post-injury, and I no longer am approved for outside physical therapy, so I've got a rehab on my own. So I basically go to the gym religiously almost 5 days a week.
So tell me how a workout session is with you.
Every session is different. I'm always trying something new. And like if I wanted to jump, I'll try to jump. And I'm just trying something new. I'm consistently working on strength all the time.
Right.
Whether that's squats, whether that's on the machines, whether that's resistant bands, whether that's, free weights or whatnot. That's a daily. But there are certain dynamic moves that I'm consistently trying to do, like I want to run faster,
right.
But my body goes to a spastic pattern when I try to do these dynamic moves. When I try to jump, I was able to pull that off, and I continually surprise myself with what I can do, but this all comes with hard work.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree. I definitely agree. like nothing is easy, man. Especially if there's something you want to be successful in. Nothing is easy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
And then paralysis is consistently challenging my body as well too.
I bet you were telling me that you wake up with these spasms for like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, so early in the morning, my body is just waking up, after, my muscles go dormant. And, as they wake up, the communication from my brain to my muscles are not there, or what's going on, and my body goes to a plank, and I go into this spastic pattern, and I kind of gotta let this thing ride out.
Right. So you're like stiff, or
I'm stiff, I'm planked out, my legs are shaking, and I gotta ride it out.
Wow.
And get it out of my body. Then I got to do some stretching in the morning, before I can hop out of bed.
Wow. And this is every day.
This is every day for the past.
And it's something you can
months.
never get used to as well.
For some reason why it feels like it's getting stronger. As I get stronger, these spasms feel like they're getting stronger.
So it's fighting you at the same time, huh?
It is.
At the same time you're fighting it, it's fighting back.
Right.
Wow.
Definitely.
Wow. But you keep on doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what I'm doing.
Oh, man.
It's not normal for me to not go to the gym and try to get a workout in.
Right.
Everything counts for me.
I understand that. Yeah. I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. As far as faith goes and God, where has this whole thing taken you as far as that goes?
Well, it's definitely changed my outlook. My faith is so much better now than it was before.
Okay.
He's also one of the driving factors for me as well too. It's given me a clear mind, to head down this path and tackle it, and he's actually helped me, get there.
Uh-huh.
He's kind of like my partner.
Right.
Tells me to get up and get it done. He's also one of my believers that knows that I can defy the odds.
Right. Definitely.
You know.
So let me ask you, and you may not have the answer to this, you may or may not, but I just wanted to ask you this. Now, being that what you've gone through with this whole thing, including the stuff that you've been in your life, what do you think the direction of God is taking you to? And you don't have to answer if you don't know. If you don't know, that would be an honest answer. But out of curiosity, I just want to know what you think. What direction is God leading you towards, and what do you think it is He wants you to do?
I honestly think He wants me to help somebody going through some type of adversity. Show them not to quit. Keep on pushing.
Right.
And it's not going to be easy.
Nope.
But
it's not. Jesus' path was not easy.
Yeah, but if you believe and your faith is there, anything is possible.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I continue to do what I do. I share my story on social media, and I hope that it helps somebody go into the same thing.
It will. I think it will. I think it will, and I'm hoping that this podcast would spread it even more. And I honestly think that, like I was telling you earlier today, that I think this interview was more important for you than it was for me. I think I'm just the how do you say? I'm giving you the platform, but it's your voice that needs to say something. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So I honestly, and this is just what I'm feeling. This is the kind of vibes I'm getting from God. I'm thinking that I'm just the avenue of you putting your voice out there to do what you're supposed to do. I'm hosting it for you, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I guess there was a calling, for you and I to connect.
Yeah, especially after all these years, huh?
Right. it was so crazy how that all worked out, you know. And here I am, you know, sharing my story, you know, with you, connecting with you, you know, rekindling that friendship that, you know, ended abruptly at one point.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know.
without any warning, man. Just
Right.
poof.
Right. You know, and here I am now.
Well, you know what? This has been like this is my first interview, and I'm glad that I've had it with you. And I even told you before this interview that you had to be the first one I'd interview because I honestly there was just something telling me that you had to be the first one. So, as we close out tonight, do you have any other thoughts or closing things that you want to say, or any advice to that you want to give to anybody? Anything you can close out with anything.
You know, we all go through hard times. We all go through some adversity, you know, and know that you can, or know that it'll all pass, you know, but you got to believe and you got to try.
You never know unless you try, right?
That's right. And that's how my recovery's been for the past 18 months is I got to try. I'll never know. I'll always try before I get help or ask for help. Because if I don't try, I'll never know.
Right. So is that what you want to close off with, or do you have anything else?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, you know what? I am so glad that I've had this interview. And like I said, this probably is more important to you than it was for me. I am just the platform for you to say what you got to say. And I'm glad that you were my first one. And I hope that people would be receptive to this interview and take it for what it truly means. I mean, you could take it for as a grain of salt, but I honestly think that it is more than that. I think it's gold. I think that people need to understand that no matter what they're going through in their life, whether it be anything, it can be anything. That if you set a goal for yourself, it can be attained as much as the work that you put into it, and you can't have any excuses.
Right.
So, as I close off with every show that I do, that being said,
The bar is now closed.
I can't help but wonder if I'm under a spell. It's more than a passing notion. I've never fallen with such devotion. I can't help but wonder if it's only a dream. Am I naive or can I believe that things are really as they seem? Can anyone explain how to understand what's true? I know I just can't tame it. Whenever I'm with you, I can't help but wonder if you wonder about me. 'Cause lately I can't help but wonder how wonderful this might be. Can anyone explain it? How to understand what's true? I know I just can't take it. Whenever I'm with you, but wonder if you wonder about me, 'cause lately I can't help but wonder how wonderful this might be, 'cause lately I can't help